To properly size pieces of equipment in an HVAC system, it is crucial to account for all the pressures the equipment will overcome, from straight runs of pipes and ducts to pipe and duct fittings and accessories. Then go to the Analyze ribbon. From the Reports and Schedules panel, click the Duct Pressure Loss Report button to launch the System Selector dialog. So you can see the 22 supply and return air systems in the project. You can also filter the system types using the system type filter. And of course, you can deselect and select as you wish. So we'll select all the systems and click OK to proceed to the report settings. And from here, you can choose the report fields from the available fields. So I can choose to add and remove parameters as I wish to show in my report. And these are the same parameters we've been interrogating with other system analysis tools in the previous videos and even more. So beneath this section, you can also decide what you want to show in your report. Do you want to display the system information for the various systems, display the critical parts and whatnot. You can also configure the fields for the straight segment section. So you can see the parameters you can choose to add. These are the default ones. You can choose to add more or remove as you wish. And the same for the fittings and accessories. So these are the parameters that show in that section. So these are all sections that you see for all the systems in your report, and you can disable or enable them as you wish. And you can also open the pressure loss report directly once you create it. So we'll proceed with this default setting. Of course, if you've made changes, you can also save that. Then we'll click on generate. Then we will name it conveniently. So we can call this duct pressure loss report. Then we'll choose a format between HTML and CSV. We'll go with HTML for now, and then we'll save this, and Revit will go ahead to generate the report. So now you can see what the report looks like, and this is divided into different sections. So first you have the project information up here, and then for the various systems or the zones and whatnot you have in the project, you see that it's divided into 4 main sections if you enabled all 4. So you have the system information, followed by the total pressure loss calculation by sections, down a detailed information of straight segment by sections if you enable this, and then the fitting accessory loss coefficient summary by sections. So depending on what you enabled in the Revit settings, that is what will show up here in the report. Also, the same applies to the field. So the field is specified in the report setting will also make up the section columns that you see here. So this is basically a snapshot of everything that happens in the various systems in a project, more like a detailed breakdown of the system inspection tool explored in the previous video. So for example, when we're inspecting, you can see something as the flow, the pressure and whatnot. So for every section here, you even have more information like the flow, the size, the velocity pressure, the length, the loss coefficient, friction. So depending on the parameters you chose in Revit, that's what you will see here. So this is quite a detailed snapshot of everything that happens in the duct systems in Revit. So you can see this can be quite long. So next we will generate the project's pipe pressure loss report. So at this point we'll go back to Revit, and from the report and schedules panel here we'll click on pipe pressure loss report button. Then of course we have to choose the systems that we want to show in the report. Now you notice the 4 secondary loops we created in the previous video. You can see their name .1 appended to the primary loop. Now you can also filter as usual. So we'll go ahead and select everything once again and proceed to the report settings. Of course, this is similar to that of docs in terms of sections, but the parameters might be slightly different. But yeah, you can choose the ones you want to add and remove, and you can see have a bit more options here. You can also configure the straight segments and the fittings and accessories. So we'll just go to the default settings for now and click on generate. Then we'll give it a name. We can call this pipe pressure loss report. This time we'll go with CSV just to show what that looks like, and then we'll save this, and then that will launch the report for us. So you can see this is a bit more extensive than that of pipe, so than that of duct pressure loss report, and that's simply because the pipe networks has more elements compared to duct. So for example, here you can see that this is for the chilled water return system. You can see just under one system, you can see how many sections or how many components, the fitting, the accessory, the straight segments and whatnot that you have. So this is quite a very detailed breakdown. And the good thing about this is that you can even sum the pressure losses in the water loop. For example, I can use that to size the pumps and the other pieces of equipment you have in your project. For example, you can see the section pressure losses. So I can sum this to use it to size my pumps and other equipment in the project. So although we can extract most of these values in Revit via the properties browser or system inspector, these reports prove valuable to both Revit and non-Revit users because they provide a unified breakdown of all the systems in the project. So I don't need to access the Revit model to interrogate and extract these values. These reports break down everything. And interestingly, we can even compare the values with the ones we generated via the system analysis report in chapter 1. So if you recall, in chapter 1, we generated this systems analysis report, and some of the information here are a bit similar. For example, when I go to the table of contents and I go to this component sizing summary, you can begin to compare and contrast some of the information you have. For example, I can sum the pressure losses or the airflow and whatnot and compare with what I have here in this for these pumps, and you can see. So as you can see, the duct and pipe pressure loss reports, they provide a tabular summary of the HVAC design, which proves indispensable for equipment sizing system review. So now you can produce these reports in Revit, and we generate even more tabular information about the systems in the following video.